Welcome to the Afterthoughts podcast. This is a very different experience for me, a different episode for me, because today I am surrounded by winners, as opposed to normally when Doug and Ryan are here with me. I am today with some ladies from the University of Texas volleyball team, and these right here are national champions. National champions. It's rare to meet a national champion. On our podcast, normally we have no champions of anything. But today we have 4 champions. Thank you all for being here today. A couple months ago, my buddy Benjamin, who comes to our church, he was like, bro, the UT volleyball girls come to church. You got to meet them. They're so cool. They're awesome at volleyball, but they're also sharing their faith, and you got to meet them. And so eventually got to a conversation of, do you think we could ever get them on the podcast to talk about their stories, their lives, what it's like to be a college athlete, be a champion, have a platform, and be trying to live your faith out in a crazy, crazy world. And so thank you for being willing to be here today. I would love to hear from each of you first, to introduce you to all of our people that watch. Your name, what position you play on the team, where you're from, what year you are in school. Give us a little bit about yourselves.
Okay, so my name's Kenna, and I am a sophomore outside hitter at the University of Texas, and I am from Fort Worth, Texas.
Fort Worth.
Yeah.
They don't call it a spiker.
No.
That would be an awesome name, though.
It is. People do use it.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, but it's not textbook.
Yeah.
I won't say it again. Maddie doesn't like it. All right.
I'm Maddie Skinner. I am a senior from Katy, Texas, and I'm also an outside.
No, saying it.
Sorry, I'm also a spiker.
Outside.
I'm Emma Halter. I'm a sophomore from Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'm a libero.
Libero, let's tell everyone what that is.
Yeah, libero's like defensive player, wear a different colored jersey.
Yep.
Yeah, make sure the ball doesn't hit the floor.
Set apart. Holy.
Yes.
The blessing of the team. That's who you are.
I'm Ella Swindle. I'm a freshman setter, and I'm from Columbia, Missouri.
And you play for the University of Texas, which national champions, big time program. For a second, don't be humble. Did you absolutely just crush in high school? Like, did you just dominate? Did your teams ever lose? Because you play at a premier program. Be honest.
My team definitely.
My team lost quite a bit, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
None of the girls on my team played club. Like I went to a really small private school, so
Okay.
I feel like.
But then everyone was like, you're different than everybody else here.
Yeah.
Yeah?
But
Okay.
yeah, our team was not that great.
I feel like high school was fun, but like it did get very old. Like just, you
Being
know,
so good.
like being ready for like the next level. Like it was like, okay, like I'm ready for a challenge. I'm ready
Right.
for
Yeah.
some
Yes.
different faces.
There's like this video, it's like a funny video where this guy he's playing volleyball and they keep spiking. It's like hitting him in the face. He's like bleeding
I've
and
seen
stuff.
that.
I just picture that's
Oh my
probably
gosh.
you in high school.
What's his
It's
name?
like the person spiking into that person. Because when you're that,
famous video.
What's his name?
Yeah.
Sterling something.
Sterling.
Scott
It's hilarious.
Scott Sterling.
that's how I picture the
That's what it was.
spikers
That's
in
Emma.
high school. It's just killing people out there.
That's her job.
Yeah, but you were too
She's the one
good.
that takes it.
You're just digging. Before we get to know you a little more, I also am hopeful that maybe at one point, just for fun, the 3 of us and maybe a celeb guest, we could play 4-on-4 volleyball, because I want to know, could we earn 1 point against you?
Absolutely.
I'm not talking about
Definitely can.
an unforced error, like you just accidentally,
like,
hit it
earn
out, or like we earned
Okay.
it.
We'll have to see.
I don't think so. Would you guys be open to that? Your coach is
would be
probably
so
not going to let
open
you
to
do that. But someday,
I'll have to know.
someday,
Hush, hush.
we'll 4-on-4 game, and we'll probably get hit in the face a lot. It'll be great. We'll make
Let's do it.
Jacob can make a highlight tape
Put it on the schedule.
of us just getting absolutely embarrassed. Okay, great. Tell me how you ended up at UT. Of all the schools in the nation, recruiting's intense. How did you end up here in Austin?
I think I'll go first. So I during recruiting for my class, it was during COVID. It was like my junior year. That's when COVID hit. And so a lot of schools weren't able to have visits. So it was virtual, which wasn't really you didn't get the full experience like you would want and get to actually meet the coaches in person. And so I was at a club tournament, and Jarrett invited me to come to a camp, and I was like, okay, I mean, I'm here already. I might as well go. And it's in person, so I'll get to meet them. And my mom was like, you're going. You're going to go. You're going to do this. And so I went, and there was 3 people there. So I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. We got to play around. and talk to the coaches, which I really appreciated because like getting to actually speak to them and like see who they are because it's different over the phone. Like
Sure.
they can say, oh, we're this, and this, and then you
Right.
meet them and they're nothing like that.
Yeah.
But they were very, like they cared about who I was as a person and not just a volleyball player. They seemed really invested in like my future, not just as a volleyball player, but like my future, you know, having a family and like being a woman in the world that we are in today and just setting myself up for success. And I feel like it was kind of a no-brainer after that I wanted to come here because it's close to home. It's a great school academically, and it's a great volleyball program.
Yeah.
So I talked with my parents, and my parents were like, I mean, we don't have any objections. We want you to go somewhere where you're happy. We're glad that it's close to home.
Yeah.
And so I called Jarrett, and I was like, okay, I'm
in.
I'm ready to go.
Sign that letter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
You started elsewhere.
Yeah, my story is a little bit different. So I was at Kentucky for my freshman, sophomore year. And then I was a mid-year transfer and came to Texas, which Jarrett says this anytime I'm asked about why I came
For
to
the
Texas.
people, Jarrett's
our head coach.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And he loves to tell everyone that I actually told him no whenever he reached out to me when I was in the portal. And he said he's going to frame the text message I sent to him in his office. But basically, I was just like, I don't foresee myself coming back to Texas. I was in a spot where I hated the sport, honestly. I lost my love for it for a short time and had gone through a lot of just mental health things and a lot of different things I was dealing with at Kentucky. And I just wanted to have fun again and enjoy the sport and not have the pressure of competing and all that stuff. And so I was like, I'm going to go to California. I'm going to go like be in a big city. And I was just called to do something else. And so Jarrett called me. He was like, give me an opportunity to like show you around. And I was like, fine. So came on a visit and fell in love with it, honestly, and just felt at home here. I mean, I'm from Houston area, so it's not close to my mom. She loves that. And yeah, I made my pros and cons list, and this is where I was supposed to be. And obviously, I can't imagine my life being anywhere else but here. And so, yeah, it was a great transition and just ended up here.
Your love for the game came back.
Absolutely. And I hate saying like I lost my love for the sport because I didn't lose it. It wasn't there. I didn't enjoy going to practice. I didn't enjoy competing. It was just not the environment for me. But
Felt like a job, not a passion.
absolutely, absolutely.
Were people pretty awful when you left Kentucky? Did you get a lot of hate from leaving there?
Actually, no. I
Cool.
think people were shocked that I left. I mean, I was a starter. I had just won a national championship there, and you don't usually leave a program after you win. And so I didn't share too much about the backstory of why I left, and some of the stuff was personal and things I didn't feel like needed to be told to the public. But people were just shocked, but no hate. I mean,
Well, that's good.
Big Blue Nation has been supportive, and
It restores a little bit of faith I have in humanity right there.
nice. They've been awesome.
Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, let's keep going.
Okay. For me, when like picking where I wanted to go to school, I really had no idea. I didn't think I was gonna go 17 hours away from home by any means. Yeah. But I knew I wanted to go somewhere where I could win national championships. That's what I always told everyone.
Yeah.
Like I want to win national championships, and wherever that takes me, it takes me. So then one random day, someone was like, Texas is interested in you. And I was like, okay, you're lying. Like, no way. Whatever. So then I came on a visit here by myself with my family. We didn't talk to anyone, nothing, because we couldn't. There's a bunch of rules around that.
Okay.
So my family just came here with me, and we looked around, and I just absolutely fell in love with the campus. And then when things opened up again and I could talk to the coaches, I was like, if these people are really, really like bought in and care about me and their culture is what I want, then like this is the place I want to be. Stepping on campus felt different than anywhere else. And after reaching out to some of the players at the time, which was Molly Phillips and Logan Eggleston, two really, really big players that played for Texas, and then talking to the coaches, I was like, this is a culture I want to be around. These are great people. They care about me as a person more than they care about the way I'm going to play on the court. And at the end of the day, volleyball is just a game, and life is so much bigger than a sport. So I wanted to be surrounded by good people, and I definitely chose the right place for that. So I chose Texas. And I also knew that if I went far, my parents would be able to come and follow me. So that was a really big deal for me.
Yeah.
And my parents are at every game that they can be. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
My story is very similar to Emma's. I didn't grow up playing volleyball. No one else in my family had played volleyball. So I didn't have this one school that I always dreamed of playing at. And so I kind of really took my time in the recruiting process. It started really early. I got most of my offers in 8th grade, which was really cool.
8th grade?
But overwhelming. Yeah. And
I don't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, I'm sure they were the exact same way. But like, it's just whenever you're that young, you have no idea what you want in college. I didn't hardly know what I wanted my
You don't even
junior
know all
year.
the states.
So
when you're in 8th grade.
Right. Like, I had no idea.
You probably
I was
did.
like,
I don't know if I did.
Yeah.
Texas, right?
But yeah, I always knew that like Texas was in the picture. I didn't know that I wanted to go here though. And then whenever things opened up again and I could talk to coaches, I took my official visits, and Jarrett was just really open to me taking my time, which was a big relief because a lot of other coaches weren't. But I knew that ultimately, if a coach really wants me to be in their program, they're gonna respect my timeline, and he really did that. So I respected that a lot. But yeah, I came on my official visit and loved all the players. The big thing for me was just culture, and I knew that anywhere I was looking for my top schools, I was gonna have the opportunity to at least compete for a national championship, but the culture is what's going to set you apart, and Texas really does have the best. So just stepping on campus and like seeing all the girls and just the way that we communicate with each other and the way that the coaches handle things and just respect us, it's so different than any other campus that I stepped on. So
How would you describe the culture of your program?
I would say it's like a family, and I know that sounds really cliche, but like genuinely everyone loves and cares for each other and would bend over backwards for each other. Like, someone called me, I would be there in a heartbeat, anyone on the team, and I know that anyone would do that for me, including the coaches.
Cool. That's awesome.
Just stay healthy too.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy for girls to get wrapped up in competing with one another and the pressure that comes with that. But like Emma said, we genuinely have everyone's back, and like just to know that we love each other as people and we want what's best for each other and we're competing for one another, it just makes it so much better. So I'd say healthy.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I give kudos to the coaches for that, because that takes a lot of work to like put in effort to meet a person before you give them an offer.
Oh yeah.
To like know that you're putting them with all these people and they're going to have a big influence. So they do a great job of really diving into the type of people these girls are.
That's awesome.
Us, I guess.
Cool. Totally different question. I want to know if you've lived my son's dream. Have you met Bevo?
Yeah.
Do you get to go up
We have
face to
met
face and
Bevo.
see
At the
Bevo?
football games,
Yeah.
I haven't.
I haven't like touched him.
Bevo is my son's hero.
We've been in his presence.
I'll just be able to tell him I met somebody that met Bevo. Cool. Well, we always, every episode, have questions with Kayla. Everyone's favorite person on the podcast is Kayla. What you got for us?
All right, guys, I have a few questions for you guys. You can just go down the line. You can start wherever. But I want to know, what is the funniest or most embarrassing thing that's happened on the volleyball court?
Ooh.
To you, or maybe just in general?
These are national champions. That doesn't happen.
Right.
Gosh.
Oh, I have an answer.
Go ahead.
Okay. My freshman year of high school, there was a really, really good player. She went to Stanford, and it was like one of our first games. It was in front of a huge crowd, and she's absolutely amazing. But I was standing there, and she went up and hit the ball as hard as she could, and it hit my face, and then I was so out of it. And the next ball came to me, and I literally could not see it.
Oh, boy.
And it like hit me again. So I will never forget that.
It was kind of like that video we were talking about.
Yeah, I'll never forget
Yikes.
that. But
You were in the protocol
that was
after
pretty
that.
embarrassing. I can't lie. Yeah,
Yikes.
literally.
They're like, blue tent. Here you go. Anybody else?
I think the most embarrassing thing was in club, and it was like one of the final games. Like, we were like doing really well. My team was doing really well, and so a lot of like the college coaches were watching us. So that's when you're like, okay, I got to do well. Like, I need to look good. And one of our middles went up to serve, and like straight up served it into the back of my head.
Oh,
Really hard. And I was like that really hurt.
yeah.
I was like, what do I do right now? And I just like looked back at her, and she was like,
My bad.
and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I played it off really well, but I was very mad about that.
Yeah.
And that was really embarrassing.
I feel like I've done that to a few people in a little backyard volleyball. Just
Sorry.
like to get a running start just to look theatrical and then just smack somebody on your own team. You're like, well, okay.
That was definitely.
I don't think I have a specific moment. I've wailed a bunch of balls into the stands. I mean,
Nice.
I've gotten,
Sure.
I was concussed from blocking. Like, she just hit it straight in my face, and I had to like shove toilet paper up my nose and run back on the court. Like, there's been a couple moments like that, but not anything that's like traumatic and scarring. Yeah.
You know, anyone who's like seen me play knows that I get really competitive, and I'll like go, like Maddie gets a kill, I'm gonna go up and like get in her face and like let her know that was really good. So high school, there was one game where I didn't like a call that the ref had made. I think he like called one of my dumps a lift, and I was like, you don't even know what you're talking about, like whatever.
I would never lift.
Yeah, no. And then I set our middle that very next play. She got a great kill, and I got in her face. I accidentally ended up punching her. I felt so bad. Her nails
Your own teammate. Just punch you. Wow.
It was really bad.
So fired up.
But yeah, I mean, I was just really competitive. But that was like a really, like I had to take a step back.
So
in that
to be
moment
clear,
and be like,
you were
I'm too competitive.
you're so excited that you punched your teammate in the face. That's awesome. I'm gonna do that to Doug after a good sermon. Great job. Good job. Punch him right in the face. That was awesome, bro.
Yeah.
That's what. Real quick, sorry to interrupt questions with Kayla. What's a trash talk situation? Like,
It's so fun.
is it pretty real?
It's fun.
In practice, it is. We get
Yes.
in trouble during matches. Like you can't.
Oh, you
trash
can't
talk. You can't. You're
against-
not supposed to stare down.
So against Nebraska,
they
you
get
weren't
very
like
serious about it.
saying horrible things to them. They were to you, though. I bet
Yeah, we don't cuss.
that's
through
kind of how
that,
Nebraska is,
But
in my understanding. Okay.
But
yeah, we'll give a couple stare downs if like
Couple stare-
absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
You know, like if we really just need to get some momentum, get some
Yeah.
energy.
And they all kind of know, like, Ella might punch me in the face. So
Yeah.
this could
It's
happen.
just a risk you take.
Yeah.
You
Get on the court with her.
Yeah.
Be on her own team. You might be her
Watch out.
coach. She'll punch you. She doesn't care.
No.
That's awesome. All right. Sorry. Continue.
Okay, no, it's okay. What do you think is the coolest superpower that you could have while playing volleyball that would help you win a game?
Oh, wow.
being able to tell the future.
That's a good one.
I'd be like, oh, she's gonna go tip it, so I'm
Prophetic.
just like gonna be ready.
Being prophetic. Yes.
I think that would be a good one.
I have to agree.
I would agree with that.
Wow.
So good. Or
That's
just
like
like,
a
yeah.
that was like a checkmate answer. Right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I see supersonic speed.
Yeah, that
Ooh.
too.
That would
Yeah.
be
Okay.
nice.
You could get to any spot.
Exactly.
So you wouldn't have to tell
Yeah.
the
Or
future.
just like you can just jump as high as you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah, over everybody.
That would be really. She already has that.
Yeah,
Both of
that's
them
already
do.
taken care of.
Unlimited jumping.
Yes.
Or just not get tired. That would be
Ooh,
nice.
yeah.
Not get sore.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I could just use that in my 30s. That'd be awesome. That'd be so good for being a parent. But yeah.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
And my last one. Do you think people are born athletic, or is that something that's cultivated over time?
Wow.
I think some people are born more athletic than others, but I think in order to get to like the level that we're at, like you have to put in a lot of work.
Combo.
I was gonna say the exact same thing. Like, yes, people are pretty gifted in different ways, but in order to be super, super successful and compete all the time and do things like that, it takes years and years of hard work.
There's some people that I think they just born out. I mean, they just have it.
Yeah, I
There's
think
nothing
that's
like,
true.
There's some
There's
There's
blessings
some
there.
people it's like, wow.
Yeah.
but they could
couldn't do that
not
if I tried.
work at it, and then
Yeah.
they just don't even go anywhere play. But yeah, sometimes I watch sports. I'm like, that could never be me because I just don't have that person's parents. That just wasn't going to happen in my life. Okay, so obviously, want to talk about faith and how you navigate all that. Starting with, you've had a lot of success and a lot of eyes on you, which comes with a lot of pressure. And one of the reasons Benjamin had reached out to me, he was so excited, and he sent me like clips of some of your interviews, and he's like, these girls like talk about their faith and they have a platform, and that's not easy to do, I imagine, with how many eyes are on you. With success, with attention, how have you navigated staying grounded in your faith? Because there's many stories of celebrities and people who kind of wander away because the world feeds them everything they want, makes them bigger, larger than life. Yet you all seem to be very grounded. You show up at church every week. Like you're passionate in your faith. You make that known to people. What have been the keys to that in your life to stay grounded in your faith?
I would say just like the support that we have for one another. I don't think that we would be able to be as strong in our faith as we are if we didn't have like every single one of our teammates being the exact same way. And like being really strong in your faith is a really lonely path, and we talk about that all the time. But the way that we can set ourselves apart on the court is like the way that we carry ourselves off the court, and we understand that our gift in volleyball is not a gift to glorify ourselves, but to glorify God. And so we're not anything without our faith, and we understand that. And like people might tell us the opposite and glorify us for our gifts and maybe even idolize us, but like we understand that God is everything that we need, and without him we are nothing. So I don't know, I think that it's just really important we try to prioritize that faith because we don't know how to like go on without that.
I would 1,000% agree with that. And I would also say like my upbringing, like my parents have always brought me up in the faith and encouraged me in that and wanted me to pursue it as best that I could and kind of find my own journey. But also just being surrounded by these girls, like you can, but it's not as easy to like express your faith and be so proud of it if you don't have people that are doing it with you or support you. And being around girls that express their faith and talk about it openly and encourage others to do the same, it makes you want to do it in times 10.
Yeah.
So like seeing someone else talk to someone else about their faith, it's like, oh, I want to do that too.
Yeah.
Like I know how that impacts me when someone talks to me about their faith. So just continuing to push that out into the world because it's very needed, and not just the sports world, but just in general.
Absolutely. ESPN's interviewing you right after you win the national championship. In your mind, like, what is that like? Hey, I want to glorify God through this, and yet I know this network may not want me to do that. I don't know how the university feels about all of that. How do you find strength to be like, I'm going to voice this. I'm going to still be true to my faith, even when it may feel like there's opposing forces to that?
Yeah. I mean, I think I just go back to like, I just try to reflect on like where I've come from and like just how much I've gone through and how many hard decisions I've had to make. And like, it's not by chance I ended up here. It's not by just this one person trying to convince me to come here, my coach. Like I've recognized, like, I mean, I prayed about this decision coming here. I prayed about, everything that I've gone through these past few years. And like, it's only God that could have led me to this position. And like, I wouldn't be here in this position without him. And so knowing where I've come from, my mental health struggles to just life hardships and being a student athlete, like it's but God, like there's no other explanation for it. And so like my natural instinct is just to give him the glory and recognize, what he's done for me and how far he's taken me. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's a good to stick on that. That's like a flip side that I think a lot of people would look at your lives right now and be like, well, you've got it all. Like you're national champions. People want to give you sponsorships. They want to like you to voice their product. There's all this attention that everyone thinks they want to get famous in some way. And yet it comes with a lot of negatives, a lot of struggle. You talked a little bit about some mental health struggles and stuff. So you've seen God in success, but also how have you seen God sustain you in trials, maybe when it feels very lonely, because people might not understand what it's like to be you?
I think it's been in points where I've been most desperate. And like, that's been the only thing that I can rely on. The only consistent part of my life, whether it's just friendships or like, the sport is so frustrating. Like one day you'll love it, one day you hate it. And so like, there's been so many points where that's the only thing that I can rely on and know that's going to bring me comfort and bring me joy and bring me satisfaction and make me feel complete and whole. So I would say it's just, I don't know, going back to the points where I was at my darkest times of like, this is all I have. Like, this is all I know to do is to pray and to keep relying on the Lord. And he brought me through. So.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I would add to that and just say like, again, in the hardest times, I didn't know like what else to cling to. Even though like these girls are my absolute best friends, I was like, I don't know how to like trust that what they're telling me is true of like, oh, like you're doing great and like all these things. But last year, my freshman season, it was a lot to take in and just like having performance anxiety of wanting to be the best that I can be for my teammates and not letting them down. And we didn't start our season out the best way possible. We lost a lot of games and I really internalized that. And I was like, okay, what am I doing? Like, I need to get something together because I'm the new one on the team. And they won the national championship last year. And like, whenever you don't have everything aligning perfectly the way that you think it should be and according to your plan, it's easy to think, okay, well then, like, I don't know where I'm going to go from here and I don't know what to cling to. So last year, I was just praying all the time and like really trying to give everything that I had to God. And it was so cool to see the way that he worked through last season. And I think that's why it was such a cool end to our season, not because we won the national championship, but because we got to look back and say like, he worked in this way, and this way. And we didn't know it at the time, but it like worked out better than we could possibly imagine. And like, I don't know, I think that's just the coolest thing that I've ever experienced in my life, not because of the national championship, just because of the way that God's plan worked out.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. It was the season before we won the national championship and it was great, but we were really solid the whole entire year. And last year we struggled. Like it was hard and we knew it was going to be hard, but we knew we could do it. if we relied on our faith. And I would say that coming to college and playing in front of big crowds and there being so many ebbs and flows, and like in the middle of the game, you could be playing so good and then all of a sudden things aren't going your way.
Yeah.
And up and down, up and down. And something that I've really like started to do during games that has helped me stay grounded and like my foundation of this journey is like with God, like I'm not on this court alone and I'm not just here with my teammates either. Like God is holding my right hand. So before every game, when things aren't going my way, I'm always like, God, like I trust in you and I know you're holding my right hand. And those conversations with him in the middle of the game, no one else knows that you're having, but all of us have them. Mm-hmm. And that's what like brings you back. Like you're back on the court and it's fun. And you realize why you play in the first place, to glorify God and like teach other people that like your faith is why you're here.
Yeah. Have you seen, I mean, I know there is, but have you gotten to experience any of the impact of you sharing your faith on a platform where so many, I mean, I was just up in Denver talking to my friend Deb, whose daughter's 12, volleyball player. And I was like, oh, you know what? The girls from UT are going to be on the podcast. She's like, my daughter's going to go nuts. She's like, she knows all of them. She knows their names. She's obsessed. You have a lot of people that look up to you. Have you gotten to like see some of the coolness of sharing your faith in the platform that you do have?
Yes. Ella and I talk about this a lot actually, but it's really cool and I would say rewarding, and it just makes you want to do it more when like moms will like be in your DMs and be like, you're really inspiring my daughter, or even younger girls that are like, I just love how you're expressing your faith in your sport. So it's definitely really cool.
I personally write like, I think we all write something on our finger tape. That's just kind of Texas tradition and something that we've all kind of wanted to do. And it's nice to look down at your hands and like have things that encourage you or uplift you. And so I write scripture verses and I write faith over fear on my hands. And so I actually did a TikTok talking about like the things I write on my finger tape because people ask me all the time. And so just to see people comment, like I'm starting to write my favorite verse on like my shoe or on my finger tape. Like I'm wearing finger tape now so I can like have a scripture down and like look at it in the middle of the game and be reminded of like what really matters the grand scheme of things if I'm struggling. And so just to hear that is incredible and know that like we're inspiring people not only to just, be amazing athletes and be amazing leaders and young women, but also just be followers of Christ and be bold in that way. So it's awesome.
That is cool. Does it sometimes feel like so much pressure? Like, do you feel I have to be perfect or I have to fit this mold? Do you ever get overwhelmed by that because you do have that platform?
I feel like a lot of the people that follow me like see who I am and they follow me for that. And I also have amazing parents that have always taught me to just be who I am and like own who I am and, telling me that I'm special and that like I'm unique and like what I bring to the world is different. And so I think just like reminding myself that like I might post like a Bible verse and be like, oh, is that too much? Like, are people going to read into it the wrong way? And then remembering like, okay, well, like somebody, at least like one person out of like the amount of views that I got is going to take something from that. Like I've felt that way before about somebody else posting something. I'm like, wow, like I really needed to hear that. Yeah. And so like just remembering it's like not always about like what you look like and like being vulnerable makes other people like want to be vulnerable too.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think you just have to be mindful. Like I think we're all super conscious of what we post, whether it's the picture or it's the caption or whatever it might be. And we're not obsessing over it, I don't think by any means, but a lot of our followers are younger girls and people that look up to us and aspire to be like us. And so I think it's important just to be mindful of what you're saying and what you're posting because they're looking up to you. And those are the people that are going to be in our schools and on these teams in a couple of years. And so it's like, who do you want to lead? Who do you want to be on those teams?
That's great. I feel like you all have a great perspective of ownership of like, hey, this is where I'm at. So I'm going to steward this well. And I'm going to think about that audience of people where sometimes I think people make excuses kind of like, yeah, it's, it's unfair that people are looking at me. And so I'm just going to do whatever I want and spiral. And it shouldn't matter to everybody else because this is just my life versus saying like, whether I ask for it or not, I do have a place that God can use me. And so I'm going to use it and let him speak through me. And I admire that about all you because I know it's not easy. I know that you're in a world that people are probably trying to sometimes throw some shade at you and hate on you. And not everybody wants to hear about Jesus. But man, I really do admire that. Let me ask you in the future, like how do you see volleyball in your life that it isn't all that you are, and that there's other things coming for you. I know that for a lot of athletes, especially, it's whenever their career comes to an end, it's just like, I don't know who I am anymore. So how do you're obviously, you got plenty of time left in your careers, but how do you think ahead to the person you are outside of playing a sport?
It's actually funny you asked that question because I was just thinking about that the other day, just how I feel the closest with God when I'm on the court. So just like trying to implement the things that I say to God or talk about with him when I'm playing the sport into just daily life. So like, I know this sounds silly, but like if I make a great play, like saying like, thanks God, like that was awesome. And like just the little things that happen in life. Like I make a green light, I'm like, heck yes. Like, thank you. Just little things in your life. And I think it helps you stay grounded and just grateful for everything that you have when the sport is gone one day.
That's cool to think of. People think when they hear worship, it's when you're standing in church and a song is playing and maybe you're singing along. Maybe you lift your hands if you're real crazy. But that perspective of volleyball is worship. If I choose to have it be a place of worship for me, I love that. What about the rest of you? How do you have an identity as a fantastic volleyball player, but that's not all that you are?
I think just finding things outside of the sport that bring us joy and bring us fulfillment. And I feel like for me personally, I try to, as much as people probably don't want to see it, I try to put more of my regular life on my social media too. And like, everyone knows I play volleyball. Like, I feel like everyone knows who Maddie Skinner, the volleyball player, is, but they don't know like Maddie Skinner as a person and the things that I enjoy doing. And so I think it's important just to find things outside of the sport that you like and that you can express to other people. So whenever that's gone and you're done playing, like, not that you don't have value anymore, but like you still have, this sounds so gross, but like your brand, I guess, or like who you are as a person. It's more than just sports.
Yeah. That's great.
Sorry, brand is like the first thing that came to mind.
No,
I always talk like building your brand, but
I get what you mean. Well, on that note, how would you describe yourselves? Nothing to do with volleyball. Who are you outside of volleyball?
That's a deep question.
Yeah.
It's a really deep question. I would say, I'm talking a lot.
Okay.
Go ahead,
you
girls.
go, girl.
Yeah.
It just came to mind. I would say just like a daughter and a friend and someone who loves music and being outdoors and I'm not very good at it, but I love playing guitar and ukulele.
Nice.
And piano.
Nice.
And so I would just say like, I love makeup. I love skincare. Like there's so many different things that I enjoy that are not a part of the sport that just are fun for me.
Yeah.
I was gonna add on to that, and we were talking about it. I can't remember where. I think we were talking about it in one of my like cognitive learning classes. But like, I think it's hard for us because like we're so good at volleyball to like identify with other things if we're not equally as good at that. And so I'm like, okay, well that I can't do that because I'm not like a pro at that, so I can't do that. When I'm like, oh, I do like you know. Like I would like to do pottery or things like that. And I might, suck at it.
Yeah.
But like, I think just like finding a passion in something, you don't have to be great at it or as good at volleyball as, you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't have to correlate. Good. And so I think sometimes it's hard because it's like, okay, everybody looks at me and I'm like this great volleyball player. So what if I like leave volleyball and then I'm just, what am I good at? Like, what are people going to know me as like, she's good at this. She's good at this. Yeah. And I think growing up that way, it can be hard, like realizing that's going to come to an end at some point.
Yeah. When you're at an elite level at something, it's frustrating probably to do other things. Like you said, like, I've heard like Michael Jordan was a brutal guy to golf with or play pool with or like anything because he was used to being the greatest on the planet. And so if he lost anything, it was just like the end of the world for him. Cause like, this is not my life. Yep. I don't know how to do this, but humbling and good in the process to remember you're a human and there's more to life than a sport and being elite at that level. What about you two? Who are you? Void of volleyball.
I would kind of say what Maddie said, like being a daughter and a friend. I love to just like have a lot of energy and bring that to other people's lives. One of our friends, Jenna, the other day, she was like, for Halloween, you should be the Energizer Bunny. And I was like, okay, like I will. Like, I like that you think of me that way just because I think in a very negative world, I just kind of want to, like, whatever I do with my platform or with my life, I want to uplift other people in a way and bring energy to their life if they're tired or things like that. But also just, like, sports has always been my life, and I don't think that will ever go away. Like, whether that's golf or like, I don't know, learning how to do another sport. That's probably what I will always like find my passion in.
Yeah.
But I would like to find it in other places too. Yeah. Like Kenna said, like pottery. I'm not a good singer, but we could try something else.
She tries really hard when she sings though. She loves to sing.
I think that nobody's born with singing talent. It's all about how many reps you put in.
Yeah.
Nobody has it. You just gain it. Is that right?
Put in a lot of reps. But
That sounds right?
It does.
it doesn't
No.
seem to get any
I
stronger.
think singing is the thing that you literally are born to sing or you're not.
Yes.
It's one or the other. There's no in between.
They're all good at it. They're really great.
Maybe those two down there.
You should have
Wow.
a passion.
Yeah.
Kenna sings.
You could always audition for the worship team.
I can.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be good for you,
Encouraging.
Ken.
I was actually telling her to do that the other day.
She's always singing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like singing.
Serenading us.
That's nice. You're the
Yeah.
team singer.
Yes.
Sometimes.
You bring the music. Great.
Except when I get put on the spot.
Other than someone who punches their teammates, who else are you
Yes.
outside of volleyball?
Other than that, I would say kind of the same thing as Emma. I just try to be like a super kind person to everyone because I don't really know like what everyone else is going through. Everyone has something they're struggling with in their life. So that's something I keep in mind. But I don't know. I think I consider myself a good friend. I'm a very loyal person, hard worker. I like traveling and I like music. Same thing as Maddie, like makeup and skincare a lot. Yeah, but I'm a big family person. That's probably like the biggest thing in my life outside of my sport.
Is it weird for you all to talk about stuff other than volleyball? Is that all anyone ever wants to talk to you about?
Pretty
no one
much.
cares.
Thank you for
Like,
asking. Thank you. That
I
was
love
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Got us
Because some people
thinking.
are always like, I'll post something and they're like, but what did you do at practice today? I'm like,
Oh,
Yeah,
no, it
cool.
doesn't
Thank-
matter.
yeah. Don't worry
Like,
about
watch
me.
me do my
just,
skincare
just a
routine.
human, just a human being over here.
Literally.
No problem. Okay, well, let's go back to volleyball now. That's enough. That's enough about your personal. No, the moment that you won the national championship, you've won 3. Okay, in those moments, what's going through your mind? Like, I don't know that I've ever really won anything. So, like, when you win at the top level of something, like, what is we always watch. Everyone's crying, they're hugging their families. Like, it's this crazy moment, and you can tell it's kind of surreal to take in. So, what's going through your minds in that moment, this past national championship?
Yeah, I spoke about this on a different podcast actually, but Jenna and I, one of our other teammates, we both kind of like went through a lot of the same struggles, just being new and like trying to get this team back to where they were last season. And it was a team effort, but we definitely were like the outsiders at the beginning of the year. And so we kind of had a moment right before we won the national championship. We had point 24 and Asia went back to serve and we looked at each other and kind of like grabbed each other's hands and we didn't say anything, but it was just kind of a look of like, yeah, we did that. And like, we're about to win a national championship and just like pure shock of like, wow, everything that we did paid off so much. And like, I'm just so happy to be here and I'm happy to be doing it with all of you. Like, it was just a really cool moment.
I would say it's really surreal at the beginning. Like, for me, it did not sink in at first, neither of the times, like my freshman or sophomore year. You just feel so grateful and like so loved and so appreciated by all the people around you. Like, everyone's hugging each other, everyone's screaming, everyone's crying. It's just so much joy and it just feels so good to see like all this hard work, not just that year, but over the years when you were 8 years old. Like,
Right.
it's like, wow, I've not been on a winning team my whole entire life. And then it's like, oh my gosh, like that's why I lost in semi-state my senior year of high school. Like there was a reason behind everything and it's to have this joy now. And it just makes you want to work 1,000 times harder too. Because it's like, wow, like this joy is so cool. So I want to experience it so many more times.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's awesome. I mean,
It was cool.
it's
Bingo.
cool.
You liked it?
It's kind of
I
cool.
liked it. It was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool.
I'd do it again.
Again.
Seems like you guys buy it. You just keep on doing that.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's actually focused. I mean, at least for me, I'm not focused on the moment whenever we're winning. Like, I'm not focused on the confetti. I'm focused on my teammates. I'm focused on like everything that we've gone through up to that point. Like, it's just, I feel like I'm always reflecting on the season that we've had and how far we've come and all the ups and downs and the tears and the blood and everything that's gone into this season. Like, you just think about it all and it hits you at one moment of like, we really like, it's been so long, but it all paid off and it was for this moment here. But yeah, it's an awesome feeling. It's surreal and it's definitely something that a lot of people want to experience. And it's awesome that I got to experience it a couple times.
Yeah. Heck
I
yeah.
was just going to add off from Emma. Like, I feel like it was kind of hard to believe. Like, I was like, all that really just happened. Like,
Yeah.
we really just did it again. But it made me think of, we were doing a lot of Bible studies beforehand. And like our team would just come together after like a team dinner or after film, and we would just sit and just talk about, you know, like what had been on our hearts, and like just going through Bible verses and scripture and talking about that. And the day or the night before, we were talking about some verse. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was talking about like, if God is for us, then who can be against us, or who can stand against us? And that like really like resonated with me. I was like, wow, like that actually is true. And whether we win or not, like God is still for us, and God is still like, nobody can stand against us if God is for us. And so like, I just remember like when we won, I was like, wow, like, God is really for us. And like, regardless of if we would have won or not, I still would have been so grateful for like this opportunity to be here with all these girls. But it was just really awesome, like knowing that like we did it with God too. Like we didn't just do it just, you know, oh yeah, we like worked really hard and we did it. Like we prayed so hard about it. And like we're praying like, even if we don't win, Lord, like we're still going to praise you. Like we're still going to give you all the glory. And so like, that was one thing that I just could not, I was like, if God is for us, who can stand against us? And like, it was just really awesome.
That's great. I don't know if I've ever heard someone articulate it that way of, even if we don't win, we still know he's for us. Because a lot of times people are like, well, all the credit to God because we won. And you're like, does God hate the other team? Like, some people prayed on that team too. Right. But the perspective of win or lose, God is for us. And so really we win no matter what in life. Like we know that he's got our back. He's with us. That's really well articulated. I love that. What are some other scriptures or stories in the Bible or passages that you've written on your finger tape or have been kind of like instrumental in you walking out your faith journey over all these games you've played and struggles and workouts and everything you go through?
Yeah.
I would say I have two. One, it's very, like everyone uses it, but I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I just think back to that all the time. Like when times are tough, when practice is hard, when things aren't going my way, like I can do it. And I just have to put the trust in God and rely on him to guide me and hold my right hand. And then secondly, just do everything in love. That is my new favorite Bible verse. I love it so much, just not just with volleyball, but in everything. But on the court, just making sure that I'm loving my teammates. Like we play this game, but like it does not matter how you're performing. Like I love you regardless. And I want to be your best friend regardless. Like Maddie, if you hit a ball out of bounds, like I'm not gonna hate you because of like,
what if she hits into the
like
back of your head?
Hannah might be mad.
Does that put the friendship in jeopardy? It
needs to be
just
some
concusses you
forgiveness.
because she just...
like I know that's a very dramatic example, but seriously, like just loving on each other because it's not always easy, and like when you know someone has your back, it's really important. So
yeah, I had written some different Bible verses on my shoe throughout the year. I think the one that was on my shoe during the national championship was Psalm 129, and it had meaning to me personally just because my aunt had been going through a lot. She's been battling brain cancer, and that's a verse that she's really been speaking to herself and to our family. And so I wanted to wear that to recognize her, but also just because I believe that verse and that passage is so powerful. And I think my grandpa ended up saying that they showed it on the big screen at the national championship, which I thought was super cool because like you were saying earlier, like they don't really want people to necessarily
the people in the
see
truck
that.
aren't like, cut to the Bible
Right,
verse.
cut to the Bible verse right now. But I thought that was really cool just to like have everyone see that, not because it was my shoe, but just because like we're in the national championship because of God. And I don't know, I think we all have those little reminders, but that was special to me.
That's cool. Can you give a little bit of like the practical how of the bond that you all have? Because it's like when you're saying, no matter what happens, I'm still going to love you. We do not live in a culture like that. It's so divided. And even within the church, it's really hard for Christian people to fight through disagreement, fight through struggle together. Yet you all seem so bonded through probably times where you've really made each other mad and you've said things you shouldn't have and you've lost together and all that. What have been the key ingredients that keep bringing you back to that family? That I'm just asking this because we need this in the church really, really badly. Like that same kind of bond and mentality that you were just talking about.
I was just gonna say, like, seeing each other work so hard every day and everyone put their heart and soul into what we do. Like if they have a bad game or a bad day or their attitude is not there, like you can't just not love them. Like, you see all that they're pouring into it and all that they're sacrificing. And so, like, one bad day or one bad decision or whatever, like, you're going to love that person regardless because they'd want you to do the same for you. Like, you'd want them to do the same for you. So that's just kind of what I always think about. Like, I'm going to love you if you make 1,000 mistakes. We might not be as close as we were before, but, like, I will love you and I will support you and I will help you.
Yeah.
I think it helps that a lot of the girls on our team are believers. And so we share common faith. We have morals and values and things that we hold ourselves to. And so we're on the same page with that, which makes it easy. We can hold each other accountable for not doing that. But I think also, like, we've all been on teams where they haven't been united and we've seen firsthand that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get far. And so obviously it's nice to be like, yeah, we want to do the right thing and we want to all be lovey-dovey and just get along all the time. But, like, realistically, that's not going to happen. But knowing that, like, if we want to win and we want to be successful and also grow as, like, people, then we have to invest in one another and just be willing to kind of stick it out whenever things get tough. But
Yeah. I mean, I would say the same thing. It's much easier to give up on the culture. But like Maddie was saying, we've been on teams where we're not united and we don't have a good culture at all and you don't get very far. And it's not fun in the process. So it would be a lot easier to just give up on your teammate and be like, okay, well, you're really making me mad today. I'm, like, cutting you off from my life and I'm not going to help you out when things get tough. But it gets really cool to see the outcome whenever you stick it out when things are hard and, like, you protect your culture and you figure out, like, okay, this is my team and whatever happens outside of my team, like, that's not up to me, that's not in my control, but I'm going to protect these girls with everything that I have and I'm going to give them everything I have on a daily basis. So I don't know, I think that's how we did it and I think it's just a really cool way to go about, like, teamwork.
I think one more note too with that is, like, our coaches do a great job of, like, I mean, we have culture meetings regularly and, like, we'll learn about each other. And, like, we talked about a couple weeks ago of, like, how do you get the best out of this person? Like, what do they need from you? And so, like, we spend time investing in one another and our coaches do a great job of just almost forcing us. Well, it shouldn't be forced, but sometimes they kind of push it on us. And I mean, we've gotten so much out of it. And I mean, they talk about no judgment. We have so many core things that we talk about of just, like, we're going to accept one another regardless of what it is. And so they've done a great job at kind of creating that environment for us.
That's cool.
Our coach says something that his mom said, and it's good people love people, and he says it all the time, and I think it's so good for him to just continue to put in our minds because, like, from sports you can learn so many lessons. Like, everything that we're saying right now applies to so many aspects of life. Like, you don't give up on people, like, relationships, friendships, everything. So being in a sport and being part of a team, just the lessons it teaches you go so far in the rest of life, and it's really cool actually to hear us talk about it.
It is. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, just going off what you said, like, it does apply to life. Like, if you look at our team from, like, a family standard, like, your sister's going to make you mad sometimes, but you still love her. And, like, you're still going to do things for her that, you know, like, if she needs you, like, I'm there for you. And, like, I might be mad at you the entire time I'm helping you out, but, like, I would want you to do it for me. And I think also just the accountability piece, like, these girls, like, they'll be like, okay, what time are we going to church on Sunday? And I'm like, okay, yeah, like, I'm getting my butt up and I'm going to church.
Get up and make it to the noon service.
Like, you know, it's just things like that. And not just, like, church related, like, accountability, like, hey, like, you didn't have a good attitude today. Like, what's going on? Like, you know, things like that, like, it is like a family. Like, my mom holds me accountable. My dad holds me accountable. I hold my parents accountable. And, like, I would expect the same thing from them. Because, like, if you love somebody, like, you let them know when they're not doing the right things.
It's good.
So
we need more of that. That's one of the things that I see outside of sports for you all is you will be great influences in culture and in the church because, like you said, it's easy for people to just give up on culture when one thing rubs them the wrong way. You know, when one person has a different opinion than them, to just kind of brush that aside. But I think that one of the ingredients of why you're all so bonded that we can all learn from is you have a common goal. That you're not just kind of existing in college together, you're not just hanging out. Like, you do that, but you have a goal to go win a championship together. And I think for us as the church, we often lose the sight of our goal to go out and reach the ends of the earth with the gospel and to be unified in that. And that was the early church. It was all these people coming together that didn't have a lot in common in a lot of ways and had reasons not to like each other and rub each other the wrong way, but they had a goal, a bigger mission to why they were put together, and that bonds you in a way that nothing else does, which is why you're right. Sports kind of teaches some of the greatest life lessons and faith lessons too. And a lot of that comes down to community. I feel like that's the common theme of this conversation is community and how important it is to everything that you're doing. Which also speaks to why I think you all have the perspective and have held the perspective that you have, because when you get successful and it becomes all about you, you quickly lose sight of all the things that matter to you. But when you have other people that are there to humble you or remind you of what you're called to, that's the game changer that we all need. So you'll be leaders because of this experience in your faith and in the church, and we need that from all of you. When you look at your future, like what do you hope? What do you see for yourself? What do you want to do? You're adults, but you're in college at the same time. And people probably treat you as far beyond that. Like you're supposed to have it all together because this, and this. As you're navigating life and figuring a lot out in college, what do you see for yourselves? What do you hope? Maybe here's a good question way of saying it. What's the legacy you hope to leave from your life? Not just your volleyball career, but your life. I know that's a big question.
That's awesome. Oh, that's a huge question.
I can go because I was just talking about it the other day. And this is going to sound like, I don't know, a little bit like I want to do this. But I think since I was like really little, like I've always been like, I want to have like a family. Like that's just like my biggest dream, and like just really reflecting on like what's the like biggest, like the most important thing I can do. And I think just like being a really good mom. And like I was just talking to them about it today. Like I cannot wait to teach my kids about Jesus. Like that's going to be the most fulfilling thing, and just seeing like God work in their life, and like knowing that I had like a role in their life, and like teaching them who Jesus was, and just seeing like all of the success that they have, who they reach, like all the like things that they do. I think that's what I look forward to the most. And just like, I don't know, we talk about all the time, like how we're going to be in each other's weddings and like things like that. Like we're like, oh my gosh, like we can't wait for things like that. And so I think just like, it's the people, and like connecting with like, connecting people to the kingdom, and like, just, I don't know, like cool. Working for the kingdom, I guess. Yeah.
All those team lessons when you have a family. That's the ultimate. That's the ultimate team.
Well, we go to work.
There's sometimes where you're like, okay, I'm glad I've learned to love no matter what.
Oh yeah.
No matter what you do, I'm still going to love you and also hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Just talking about my 4-year-old. All right.
Exactly.
I have so many things I want to do. I mean, I want to play professionally. I want to go to PA school. I want to start my own skincare line. Like I have so many different things I want to do. But obviously I want to be married. I want to have a family. I want to overall just inspire people. And I feel like I'm in a cool position now where I have a platform to.
Oh, sorry, guys.
No, it's okay.
No worries.
Unbelievable. Do not disturb doesn't stop an alarm. Here's Maddie giving a great answer about the future of her life, and my phone's interrupting. That's so cool.
No, you're totally fine. I just want to be able to inspire and empower people around me, and just lead them to Christ, and be someone that they can look up to. And I think a lot of that for me is just like being transparent and being vulnerable. And it's so easy just to share the highlights of your life. We all know this. But I think just opening up about how far I've come and the things I've walked through, and that I'm still able to be here today, is just something that inspires people. So I just say I want to encourage people and uplift the people around me as I get older and grow old.
You got a lot of time.
I know.
Mine's kind of similar to Maddie's. I have a lot of things I want to do and a lot of goals, but same as them, like I want to get married and have a family. But I also want to like inspire and give back, I think, and being the place that we have been at Texas and having all the experiences we've had, it's really, really cool to be able to give back, not just in volleyball, but in life in general. And you guys talked about like giving part of like your paycheck back, whatever. Like that's something I really want to like make sure I'm implementing in my life. In every relationship I build, like I want the center of it to be in Christ, because I've tried to really establish that in my life lately, and I've seen the differences that it has made for me. And so I just want to continue that. Like, obviously I've got lots of years of life left. So I want that to be like the trajectory of my life. And also just having fun. Like I want people to like have joy when they're around me, and know that like I'm down for anything. Like you want to go on a hike? Okay, let's do it. Like you want to go watch a movie? Let's do it. Just kind of being the person that is ready to tag along with him.
That's cool. That's one of the missing pieces for Christians. a lot of the time is fun. I feel like a lot of people look at Christians, they're like, why would I want to be a part of what you're doing? You don't seem to enjoy your life. It's like, come follow Jesus. It's awesome. You're like, is it? Is it? It should be.
Yeah.
It should be joy-filled.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm going to give a very similar answer to all three of them, but I mean, there are a lot of superficial things that I want to do in my life. I want to play volleyball for as long as I can. I want to start my own business, hopefully, and kind of just see where the rest of my career takes me. But whenever I think about like what I want to do in my life, the biggest thing that always comes back to me is just like having my own family and like being really connected to them, having kids and like raising them in the church and just like leading people to Christ, because that's what my family's done. And I just want to continue that on. But yeah, I mean, I think along those lines that we were just talking about, Emma and I have these conversations almost every single night of like, why don't I have everything together right now? Like, why do I not know what I want to do in 10 years? Like, where I'm going to live, like what my family is going to look like. And the bottom line is like, I'm 19, you're 20, like we're all young. We have so much time to figure it out. So I think a really big thing that I am working on right now and what I want to like help other people do is just like trusting God's journey and like his plan, because it hasn't failed me yet. And I know it won't in the future or anytime soon. So I don't know. I think that's the biggest thing for me, just like leading people to Christ and like trusting the path that he has for all of us individually.
It's awesome. It's kind of a cliche question. But thinking of my friend's daughter, if you're talking to a 12-year-old volleyball player, you know, that's like
Yeah.
life is ahead of you. What would you say to that person, or what would you wish you had known at that age? What would you say to yourself at that age that you now have a different perspective on?
Ooh, that's a good question. I love this question. I would say just to continue to always find, I know I keep going back to fun and joy, but like always find joy in the sport. Like the grind is really hard if you want to like get to the top. That sounds so cheesy, but it's true. But like finding joy in every single day is an opportunity to get better, and like take that in. Like it's not a burden to go to the gym and work hard. So like be so grateful for the opportunity and have fun with it and bring your friends with you. Like I wish I would have done that more. I went and did things alone because I didn't think anyone else was wanting to do it with me. And so when I was 12 and 13, I wish I would have been like, hey, like, do you want to come with me like to the gym and get better? Like bring other people along with you so that they can get better as well.
Yeah, I would say like find something that you're really passionate about. Obviously, if I'm speaking to a volleyball player, your passion is probably volleyball. Maybe it's not, and like choose something else. But I didn't start playing volleyball because I wanted to like go play in college someday, and like I had no idea what I wanted to do with the sport. I just knew that I really liked it, and I was a really hard worker. So I would just say choose something that you're really passionate about, work really hard at it, and like you're gonna end up surprising yourself. I surprise myself in so many ways, and we all continue to do that every single day. But I don't know, like if you don't love it, you're not gonna have your heart in it, and you're not gonna be able to get as far as you might want to, and you know all those things. So just love where you are.
I would say one, it's never that serious. Enjoy your time. And another thing is just like, don't keep looking at the people around you, and don't put pressure on yourself to be at, I don't know, at this level, at this point in your life and accomplish this whenever you're this age. Like just be in the moment and just focus on the next day. Like if you can just get better at one thing the next day, or just try to get better at one thing the next day, you, like Elsa or Emma said, you'll surprise yourself with how far you can go. And so I think we get so fixated on the next big thing and like what we want to accomplish 10 years from now, but just focus on tomorrow and focus on the people around you and the relationships that you're forming, and all the other stuff will come with time and with love, the love that you have for the sport.
That's good.
I would say like don't take failure as like a no, just take it as like a not yet. Cause like I feel like when you're little, it's like really easy. I mean, even me now, like when like bad things happen, I'm like, oh, my life is falling apart. Everything sucks. But like just because you fail, it doesn't mean that like you're not supposed to accomplish this dream of yours. Cause like God does not ever give you a dream that is not going to happen, you know? And so I think just like taking it as like, okay, it's not my time yet, or like I need to do, like keep working at it. So just like, just because you might not be great at volleyball right now, or you might not be accomplishing what you want to accomplish right now, it doesn't mean that you aren't going to. And you have a lot of time to be able to do that.
Gosh.
Yes.
So.
Yes. That's all really, really good. I love that like things aren't so serious as they seem. It's really easy to take ourselves too seriously. That's why you just want to introduce some fun into the world, you know, like how would you apply that to your faith? Because it's really easy to take ourselves real seriously in our faith, put all the pressure on ourselves and end up thinking this is all about me and I'm failing, my life's falling apart, whatever. how would you translate some of those life lessons then over into how you live out your faith?
I think what Maddie said is really good. And also just knowing that like everyone stumbles and falls, and they stumble and fall and sin in different ways. And just to not compare yourself. I think that's my probably biggest thing in my faith is I'm like, oh, like they're doing that. Like I need to be doing that. And if I'm not, then like I'm not as great, or God doesn't love me as much, which is so not true. So just knowing that everyone has a different journey, and like if you mess up, like God's gonna forgive you. Like it's okay. And just continue to keep turning to Him, I think.
I would say, I mean, with our sport, it's all about consistency, and it's all about just staying committed to the process. And I feel like that's very similar to my relationship with the Lord. Like it's hard to stay consistent sometimes, and it's hard to want to go in and work on your relationship. But I think over time, you're able to see obviously the connection that you have with the Lord and how much you've grown and how much He's helped you over the years. And so I just say from that aspect, I just try to think of it as, I don't know, it's very similar to my sport. It takes work, it takes effort, but it's so rewarding at the same time. And so, yeah, I just say it's a work in progress, but it's an awesome experience and it's an awesome journey just to be able to look back and see how far you've come.
Let me ask you real quick, thinking about when you said earlier, you kind of lost your love for the sport for a time. I think that happens to a lot of people in their faith, where it becomes like a job so much, or you take yourself too serious or whatever, where you kind of lose that freedom and love in your relationship with God. In Revelation, this letter goes out and it tells the church, like, you've lost your first love. You've kind of gotten away from that. Has that happened to you in your faith, or have you had struggles where you feel kind of that way of like, this has become more of a job to me, like volleyball? And how have you refound that just freedom and loving relationship with God?
That's great.
I can go. Yeah.
So the year before I got baptized about 3 years ago, and I always like considered myself to be a Christian. Like I was like, yeah, like I go to church, I believe in God, He's cool, you know, like all that stuff. I would put Bible verses on my story all the time. Like I did believe in God, but I just don't think I had a relationship with Him. And so like when bad things would happen, I was not like connected to God. Like I wasn't praying about it. And I would say I was praying. I'd be like, yeah, I'm praying about it, or like pray for me. But like I wasn't truly like wholeheartedly doing it. And so I think I got baptized, and leading up to that, I was just going through a lot. Like I was just very like sad all the time, and I didn't know why. And so I was like going to the gym and working out all the time, and I was like listening to a song called Another Soul Free, I think is what it's called. And I probably played it like on repeat the entire time I was working out. And I was like, wow, like I have not been, like my fire was like coming up for God. And I was like, what have I been doing? Like this is like, I have not been myself. I haven't been praying. Like I haven't been reading the word. And like, I was like, wow, like it was just one of those moments where I was like, what have I been doing? And so like I called up my youth leader, and I was like, hey, like I really feel like I like want to be baptized. Like I feel like this is what I need to do. And she was like, that's crazy, because like the very last baptism that we're doing for the year is this Sunday. And so she was like, I want to meet with you, like hear your testimony. So I went and talked to her, and I got baptized, and it like completely changed like who I was. Like even my friends like from home can say like I was like a lot nicer, which sounds like whatever. But like I feel like it completely changed who I was. Like I looked at everything so differently. And whenever I was going through like struggles, I wouldn't take it out on anyone. And I feel like I was taking it out on the people around me. And so I think that like made me grow a lot closer to God, and like just realize like I literally cannot do it without Him. And like when I do try to do it without Him, it's not good. So
I know that also.
Yes.
So that's the moment where you kind of made it your own.
Yeah, I was like, this is like, I fully believe in God, and I don't just believe in Him. Like I want to have a relationship with Him, and I want other people to feel this way.
That's awesome.
So
I think for me, it was, I mean, I grew up in the church. We went to church every single Sunday, no excuses. Like, my mom works at a church. She's the head of women's ministry. And so like, I've just been surrounded by it my whole life. And so it felt like a chore many times growing up, especially in high school. And all my friends would be going out and doing stuff late on Saturday nights, and I just didn't, because we had church in the morning. And so I think going to college was kind of the turning point for me. And I just recognized like I know a lot about God, but I don't know God in the way that I feel like I should with the amount of knowledge that I have. And so it kind of started my journey of just finding my faith and what does that look like for me? And like, what is my relationship with the Lord, not my family's relationship with the Lord, or like our girl. I mean, I have a sister and a mom. And so like our girls' Bible studies, like it was really personalized. And so that's when I started to kind of figure out where I was in my walk with the Lord and how I wanted to approach that. But obviously it's transformed from that point. But that was kind of the point where I just had to figure out, I don't know, for me, what it was.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I would say a similar story to Maddie a little bit. I am Catholic, so I grew up in a Catholic school. I went to church every single week. I'd be in the church 3 times a week. Like, I loved it and I appreciated it, and I found so much joy in all of that, and it made me feel really good. But I like kind of had like a candle lit, and then I went on like a senior retreat.
Very Catholic thing to like candles.
Yes, very, very Catholic. But I went on a senior retreat and I was like, dang, like I tell all my friends about my relationship with God, but like it can be so much stronger. And like I'm encouraging all these other people to do this, but like I need to strengthen my relationship with God. And then I came to college and it was all up to me. No one's forcing you to go to church. And I did not miss a single weekend of church, like because my parents raised me that way. Like it was just kind of ingrained in me. And from then on, it was like my journey. And it was up to me from that point on to like strengthen my relationship with God. And that's when it became the best, is when it was all up to me. And my like options were to go this way or this way. And I chose to like walk towards him. And with all these girls too. Like if I didn't know other people were kind of in it with me, I think it makes it, like I said earlier, harder. But knowing other people were doing the same thing and believed in the same God as me was super encouraging. So I just wanted to get better for them too.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before, but the exact same thing as them. I grew up going to church with my family every single Sunday. I had youth groups, small groups in high school that I would go to all the time. And I definitely had like a decent friend group that believed the same things that I did, but it wasn't a big thing that I was like actively pursuing in my own life and like trying to be connected to God in ways that like would just help me in every single way outside of sports or outside of, whatever it is. So it was always something that I had, but never something that I really like relied on. And that really took a big, like it did a 360, honestly, my junior year of high school. Friendships changed a lot. I just committed to Texas, and I don't know, like a lot of things in my life were just shifting in really cool ways. I just didn't know it at the time. And then I got here, and like everyone that believes the same exact thing that I do, and we come to church every single Sunday. So it's just been a really cool and inspiring way to see the way that God has like brought people into my life in ways that I really need them to be. And my faith has grown a lot because of it.
That's cool. There's different stats. So I'm not going to name a number also because we found out on Instagram that if you say a stat, people are just going to be so up in arms about it. But majority of students or people who grow up in the church, when they go to college, they walk away from their faith. And yet none of you have. Community is a huge part of that. Are there any other reasons you can point to that would go, no, this is why I stuck to my faith in Jesus and actually deepened that relationship? Because that's the opposite trajectory of truly the majority of college students.
I would say I saw a lot of really unhappy people, and I kind of came to the common denominator that a lot of the really unhappy people I saw or were talking to didn't have God in their life. I was like, I don't want that. So I was like, I think this is the right way to go.
Yeah,
and to continue
right.
the way that I've been living my life, but just strengthen it. And I think I was very right in that. So
it's often the world that is more depressed and anxious and divided than ever is telling us, you should do this your way, do this the world's way. And yet you're like, how's this working out for us?
Right.
That's good. Any other things that you've just been like, that's why I dove in instead of walking away?
I think like just being away from home, and like also obviously all of us have like different like life struggles, and like we talk about that with each other, but just I think realizing like I cannot do this on my own. Like I'm like my parents aren't telling me what to do every day, and like things like that you realize like this is like what Emma said, like this is in my hands now. And I think just like realizing like I I literally need God in my life every single day so that I can just be sane. Like really, like I really need God, especially in the world that we live in, like with so many things going on. Like we have war, we have politics, we have this and that. She said that. I can't believe she said that, and things like that. And it's so, I think just like staying grounded to the truth is like so important, because it's really easy to like go off in different ways and like believe different things that are just not true.
Yep.
And so just like staying grounded in that to have a better perspective.
It's good. Some desperation, it sounds like, of like, I'm on my own here and I'm not doing this alone.
Yeah.
I need you. That's good.
I think for me, I just saw not how different I was, but just the likelihood of me doing certain things whenever I wasn't in the Word and when I wasn't consistently spending time with the Lord and praying. And so there was never a point where I completely strayed from my faith, but there were times where I'd go a couple days without reading the Bible, just be like, hey, I'm gonna go party tonight. I'm gonna go I was trying to be a college student. And so I noticed some things in my life that were starting to come that I never drank in high school. I never went out in high school. Like, one, I didn't really have an opportunity. I went to a really small private school, but
and you're at your women's Bible study.
And my mom would have killed me. But yeah, it just wasn't a part of my life growing up. And so I got to college and brand new environment. And so I started to notice some things in my life where I was like, this is not how I was raised. Like, I'm not comfortable with this. I feel convicted about this. And I'm like, I haven't been walking with the Lord these past couple of days. And that's why I'm feeling a little bit more risky today. So I think it was just maybe a little bit of fear and a little bit of just being scared of myself and really just being in a new environment with lots of opportunities to do things. And so that was one thing I was like, nope, like I'm going back and I'm going to be consistent with this. And this is not the life for me as much as it might be fun in the moment.
Yeah. There's an old hymn, Come Thou Fountain, and in there it says prone to wander, which is like the best description of a human being. I remember in college when my faith sparked in college, but I was a huge party kid. So it was like, I'm trying to live in both of these worlds, trying to figure this out. And I'd literally be like ready to go pregame with my friends. And my Bible would be sitting by my bed and I would like try not to look at it. Like, I don't know what's there. I'll see it tomorrow. I'll like figure it out. But it is like in a few days, you can recognize how quickly we'll just wander and we'll find our way into other things. And a lot of times reading the Bible or prayer, those feel like they can become like, I have to do this checklist. But instead, when you see it as your life source that keeps you connected to God and keeps you living the life that you want to live, that's where the freedom and that desperation is answered. And I love that. I love hearing this from college students. I'll tell you that, because it's not a common answer for a lot of people. Do you have anything to pitch in down there?
I think they hit it all. Yeah, that was good.
Okay, last question. People always say they don't have enough time in their relationship with God. Too busy. Doesn't get much busier than being a college athlete from what I have seen. You have a full-time school schedule, full-time sports schedule, not much free time. You always have to be somewhere. There's always expectations of you. Yet you all continue to pursue God. And what does that look like practically for you? Like with your team, but also individually. How do you in your life make that space? What does that time look like for you? I'm trying to take the excuse away from everybody else, basically.
There is time. There's a lot of time. I feel like before you do your homework for like 15 minutes, like you can do a little Bible study. Like devotionals don't take up that much time in your life. Like you can read scripture and break it down and pray. But there is a lot of time for you to be able to do that. You just have to like prioritize it.
I'm trying to say that. If you say it, people may be more receptive to it.
I think people are like, I have to find time. Like they look at their schedule and they're like, I have this. Oops, I guess I don't have the free time to do this. But you have to create time. You have to make it. Like you have to carve time out of your schedule. Maybe not spend that time on Instagram or on Snapchat or on social media. And you don't realize how much time you spend on your phone in general. So if you're just willing to block out a little portion of time and sacrifice, I found it works at the beginning of the morning. Like I have to do it first thing of the day. I'll wake up a couple minutes earlier than my alarm and we start workouts at 6:45. So that's the best time for me to do it. But it's a choice. It's literally a choice.
These are phenomenal answers. Yeah. Cut these. Let's send them to everybody. That's great. Anything else for you two?
I would say what they said too, but also just like finding little areas in your life where you can listen to like worship music or just hear about God from a podcast or something, just fueling your mind with the right things. Like cutting out the music that's not good for your mind has actually been such a great thing for me in the mornings, like on the way to workouts, listening to the worship music, on the way to class, putting my headphones in, listening to a podcast. things like that. That takes no time. It's just you're doing what you're doing, and you're also like listening to the words of God. So
It's good.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing as them, but also just recognizing that everyday worship is going to look different. And like, I might not have time to do like an hour Bible study and like really talk about it with my teammates or like whoever it is. Like, you don't have the same amount of time every day. Your day isn't always going to look the exact same and like wake up and I'm going to do this. And then this is going to happen. Like, life happens, it gets messy, but just finding ways to implement worship or like God in your life, whether it's a worship song or like just genuinely talking about it with one of your teammates or friends or parents, whoever it is. That's how I found it to be really helpful for me.
That's good.
Find that lifeline to get away.
Yeah.
Be with God. Jesus did that. He just leave for a while. Everyone's like, where'd he go? He's like, I'm sick of all you guys. But really, he just went to spend time with God. I'm like, if he needed to do that with all the pressure on him, then we all certainly need to do that as well. Okay, I said last question. I have one more question. I've been asking you to be teachers this whole time to kind of give advice and a lot of perspective on things. But asking you as college students now, just normal college students, what does your generation want to see from the church? What are you guys looking for? Does that make sense? Because I think we as like millennial and older generations, we assume we know what the younger generations want or what they're craving, but rarely ask that question.
We're craving what y'all are doing right now.
Yeah.
Hence why we're here. I think too, I love the environment and the atmosphere of Red Rocks. The worship is modern, it's loud, it's kind of in your face, which isn't for everyone, but I feel like it's what I need most Sundays. And the teaching is always spot on and very applicable to what we're going through. And I feel like it can be taken from a bunch of different age groups and people from different walks of life and applied to their life, which is so crucial. But obviously, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't a fit that was for us and we felt like it was the place we're supposed to be. So y'all are doing great.
Thank you for saying that. Cut that clip, and every time I get an email where someone's just roasting me, I'm going to just listen to that.
Just send that right back to
encouragement.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if that was what you were looking for.
Well, that was that's awesome. Even just like from Christians, from the church in general, I appreciate you saying that about Red Rocks. It doesn't have to be about Red Rocks even, but like, what does your generation want to see from Christian people?
Yeah. I think something that I crave personally is kind of the same thing, just like practical ways that I can apply like your teachings and like what God has to say and what he has for us to my life. Because I don't do well whenever churches just spit like facts to me and like, this is what the Bible says and like, do with that what you will. Like, I need like practical ways. I need you to like break it down for me because I don't, that's just how I absorb information the best, and like real ways that I can take it back with me and like really apply it to my life, which I think you guys already do a great job of. And that's why I keep coming back.
I think just like not being afraid to like speak the truth, even though it might like offend some people. I think like it's very easy to do that. Like, we live in a culture that like honestly wants to be offended. But I think like, especially in like today's world, like I want to hear the truth when I come to church. Like, I want to hear like, this is what God says. This isn't what I say. This is what God says. And if God says it, then like you better listen. So I really appreciate that here. It's like I come and I know that like you're not going to be sugarcoating anything. Like, what I hear is going to be like from the Bible, and like that this is a truth. So I really appreciate that, because I think it's really easy to like make people, like you were saying, or like Doug was saying today, like the devil likes to make you feel comfortable. And like a lot of times we think if we're uncomfortable, it's the devil. But like when we're comfortable, we're not as hungry for like the truth, for the word. And a lot of times we don't want to hear the truth. But I think like when I leave church feeling uncomfortable, I know that it was a good service. So I think just like continuing to like preach the word and the truth.
Dang. A culture that wants to be offended.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's what a normal college student would say.
You're not normal college students, I'll tell you that in a great way. That's awesome. I detect that so much in my generation has felt this way as well. Just fed up because politics and division and comfort and all those things that we see a lot of seep into the church, where it's just like, give us the real thing. Tell us the truth. Like we want to get something authentic and real. And I think that's affirmed through a lot of what you all were saying, with some very nice compliments to Red Rocks, which we will take. We don't always get those. Not everybody loves this place, so that's okay. Well, thank you all for sharing your stories. Thank you for your boldness. That's the word that I would say kind of in the conclusion of you want to see boldness from the church. And I see boldness in you all on a platform in a place that it's not easy. You all have boldness in your faith to come sit and talk about it and to think about those kids that look up to you and all the ways you conduct yourselves at a young age, but as rare people. And so thank you for being influences for the kingdom, being kingdom builders like you are. And we say this all the time at Red Rocks, but you're just getting started. And your volleyball careers are going to keep going, but at some point those will come to a close and your life will not. Your life will continue on far beyond that because of the lessons you've learned in community and individually that God has shown you. And there will be moments you'll look back and go, man, I never would have thought that volleyball game would relate to this moment in my family or to this friendship or this whatever it is in your lives. And so the sky is truly, heaven's the limit for all of you, which is awesome. And I look forward to watching your stories through your careers, but beyond that, for the way that you're going to boldly build the kingdom. So thank you for being examples to a whole lot of us that need that inspiration and joy and fun and being here with us today.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having
all
us.
of you.
So fun.
Share this with some friends. And for once, it won't be Doug and Ryan on here, so they'll want to watch it. Awesome story. Thank you all. National champions. Congratulations again on all of that.
you.
We will rep you. We rep you team. They're the Buffs and the Longhorns. We're not in the same conference, so we can do that. But we will always be cheering for you and appreciate you all.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.